Alright. Sorry we're doing this so late and on a Sunday, but I had to work all day Friday, all day Saturday. I was working really late both times. So I was kind of wiped out today, and fair warning, my body clock is pretty screwed up right now. So I don't know how this is gonna go. I guess we'll see. But I wanted to do it tonight rather than tomorrow because that's just getting too late. So anyway, here we are. Thanks to anybody who's in the chat room tonight. Not sure how talkative I'm going to be, but I really just want to get this done and then try to get some sleep because I got to be up early again tomorrow. All right. So, Impact. Our October the 12th edition begins with a video package, something we're going to be seeing a lot of on this show, of Eli Drake, Eddie Edwards, and Garza Jr. in Japan. So this is not a bad thing. You know, the Impact stars came off very well and actually did look like stars during those videos of them in AAA. If they can accomplish the same thing they did here in that video, then this could lead to some good stuff. Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's see what happens. So our show proper begins with an LAX segment. So they cut a promo. They're in the ring. They get on the mic, and they announce that they're getting their rematch for the tag team titles at Bound for Glory. And Santana doesn't want to wait for Bound for Glory. He wants OVE right fucking now. And they've been giving Santana a little bit more talking time recently. Maybe he's starting to break out a little bit. I don't know. I'm just noticing he's been talking more recently, the last couple of weeks. Just an observation. Anyway, OVE come out. Now, why would you want to put OVE in another situation like this where LAX can just completely give them the clown shoes treatment on the microphone? I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to do that. The first time doing a face-to-face promo segment really didn't go well. So why would you want to do that again and expose OVE as like the inferior talkers here when they're already struggling to get over? It just seems very counterproductive. I mean, if the goal is to get OVE over, I think you'd want to avoid segments like this. Just not something I would have done if I was writing this show. Anyway, LAX, they want a 51-50 street fight. And Diamante explains that 51-50 means all of them. So they're not just fighting Santana and Ortiz, they're fighting all of them. But isn't that pretty much what happens anyway? Isn't that what tends to happen every time LAX have a match? You always see the other members getting involved. You always see the other members interfering. So really, a 51-50 street fight means nothing at all. You automatically assumed they were going to get involved because that's what LAX do. So I guess 51-50 street fight just means that they're going to announce that they're going to be interfering in the match instead of just doing it. Whatever, I thought they were going to have more up their sleeve than that. Okay. I do like that the other members of LAX are getting to talk now. Like I said, Santana's talking a little bit more. Diamante got a little bit of mic time here. That was nice. Yeah, it's cool that the other members are doing more now. Not much from Ortiz yet. I don't know what he's doing, but I like that it's not just Conan talking for everybody now. So there's a brief brawl here. OVE get beaten down in a pretty brutal way. It was pretty cool actually. They do like the delayed I don't know what you call it. But the one guy gets kicked in the head and then dropped on the steel chair, and then the blonde gets thrown over the ropes through a table. It's a nice beatdown, pretty brutal. But once again, OVE are looking like chumps. And okay, LAX are a big deal now. I get that, but again, you're not doing OVE any favors. They're already having trouble getting over, and this is just making it worse. Wouldn't you want to put a little more effort into making OVE look like the cool guys? I mean, you heard the audience reaction here. They were behind LAX, and they're the heels. What else do you expect when LAX gets so much more attention and so much more screen time and are made to look like such cooler guys than OVE? I don't really know what the writers are expecting out of this. So anyway, we get another video of the Impact stars in Noah, just basically just showing they're there. I think there's a press conference or something. All right, okay, all right, so far good. Okay, let's see more. And then we get another video package. Yeah, you think you see where I'm going with this, don't you? This one, just kind of getting everybody up to speed on the American Top Team Lashley Moose stuff. And this one begins with trying to hype up the Lashley versus Moose rivalry, but then it ends up focusing more on American Top Team again, to the shock of no one. Then we get another video, this one hyping up the Johnny Impact versus Garza Jr. for the #1 contendership match that'll main event this show. All right, that's something you should be hyping up, given that it came about in a pretty inorganic way, so you gotta do something to hype it up. All right. Now, time for a knockouts match. Or a knockout segment, I should say. Well, we do get a match. It's not much of a match. Rosemary quickly squashes a jobber, and that's it. Now, you would think that Rosemary, one of the most dominant knockouts champions ever, their words, not mine, would be one of the last people on the roster who needs a squash match like this. And normally I'd agree with that, but considering what was about to happen, I think this was a good idea. You know, make her look like a beast before she calls out Taya Valkyrie. And I will credit them for trying to hype this match up, this rivalry up, as being a really big match when it finally happens. And it does feel like a big match, like something that should happen for the first time at Bound for Glory, God forbid. So naturally, it somehow makes perfect sense to give it away for free on Impact next week. Don't get me started. So Taya comes out, and they do a little face-off, and Rosemary looks like she's going for the mist, but then, swerve, Taya mists her instead. Fun little swerve right there, I like that. Then she hits the Road to Valhalla, and Rosemary goes down. And this I feel really torn on. Now, on the one hand, Taya has really made Rosemary look like a chump a couple of times now, and it feels like they're making Rosemary look uncharacteristically weak just so they can make Taya look good, which can be damaging if you're not careful. You know, at some point Rosemary's got to get over on her. And considering Rosemary's popularity and her ability to move merchandise, I just thought they'd want to protect her a little bit more than this. On the other hand, they're building up Taya as such a formidable adversary that for really the first time, Rosemary's got her back against the wall. And suddenly she feels like an underdog. I can see how they want to use that to make the fans rally behind Rosemary, but the fans were already doing that. I'm just not sure the Demon Assassin is the right character to do something like this with. I don't know if it fits with her. But we'll see. You know, I am really excited to see this match for the first time. I just wish that first time was going to be at Bound for Glory and not on free television. So, oh boy, we get another video of Moose going to the American Top Team gym. But this time, he's not being a stupid head, and this time he's actually bringing back up. Okay. Why didn't you do that the first time you went there? Not sure. Now, here's something shocking. We actually got more than one knockout segment this week. How about that? Terrell is out for a promo, and she's talking about Gail Kim and Gail's husband, Bobby. You know, this is in reference to their previous feud from a while back where Taryn tried to seduce Robert Irvine away from Gail or whatever it was. It's an appreciated bit of continuity in a storyline that's frankly struggling for any it can get, but why would you want to bring that up when that feud ended with Gail single-handedly demolishing Taryn and the dollhouse in handicap situations for weeks on end? I don't know. That's not the kind of thing that builds heat. Quite the opposite. And so anyway, Gail comes out, and not surprisingly, she completely no-sells everything Taryn just said, shows that there's nothing Taryn can do that can possibly affect her in the least, then beats the shit out of her until Taryn runs away. Because why would we want the only knockout in this title match at Bound for Glory that Gail has any kind of real history or personal connection with to have any heat or credibility whatsoever? Look, I know I've been pretty salty about the Gail Kim thing lately, and maybe it wouldn't bug me quite so much if at least Gail didn't look so damn smug every time somebody tries to oppose her. Or if she would put over just one person. Just give some kind of a rub to just one other knockout in this match before the pay-per-view. But spoiler alert, that doesn't happen. Because Gail Kim. You know, I don't begrudge Gail anything. I'll give her all the respect that she's earned, but at what point does all this never-ending glorification of her at the expense of every other knockout just become downright ridiculous? Would it really be so terrible to let somebody, anybody, get a little bit of heat on her before this title match just so her opponents don't look completely pathetic? She truly has become Jane Cena at this point. Nothing affects her, nothing gets under her skin, nobody can beat her. It's the Super Cena formula to a T. I mean, hell, the last thing I want to do is boo the heels opposing her. I feel sorry for them because they seem like they're in a no-win situation, and Gail is like this giant tsunami that's going to wash in, crush everything in her path, and then wash back out to sea, leaving behind nothing but devastation and a bunch of women who can never get their heat back on her. How does this help the division once Gail is gone? I only ask because this is obviously a question the writers have never asked themselves. And at some point in the last 10 years, they really should have. Alright, so after this, we get another video package. Alberto El Patron is back at Bound for Glory. What will he do? God only knows. Hopefully it's not something domestic violence related. By questioning, what will this guy do at Bound for Glory? That's a nice little hook. A couple questions you can ask about that. And so we have, oh boy, another video package. Just what I wanted to see. Grado is exhausted. Apparently, the imaginary law firm of Park and Park has been working him to the bone. And then Joseph Park rolls up in a sports car with a bunch of hot ladies. And one of them basically spoils that Grado is the meal ticket. And it's at that point that Grado realizes what the rest of us have known for weeks, that Joseph Park has just been using him. ZOMG, it's the most surprising heel turn ever. So does this mean that Grado is back in the Impact Zone next week? Please say no. I've really been enjoying the fact that he's been limited to one video package per week for the last couple weeks. But now that they've pulled the trigger on this Joseph Park heel thing, I really hope that doesn't mean think he's going to be back in the Impact Zone. Please, just don't just keep putting them in video packages. That way I only have to see Grado for a few minutes, like a minute or two a week. That's very preferable to what they were doing. Another video, this one hyping Bound for Glory. Okay, that one's kind of necessary, so I'll let that slide. Then we get this six-person mixed tag match. I was going to say intergender, but it wasn't really intergender. So six-person mixed tag match. It's one of these let's combine three feuds into one type of deals. So there was a little interaction with the men and women in there when Tejano went after Rosemary. not Rosemary. Tejano went after Allie, excuse me. And she gave him the code breaker. That was cool. I like that the knockouts aren't afraid to mix it up with the men when the situation calls for it. You don't really see that in WWE, at least not very often. It's a fun match. The faces win. Allie is excited and hugs her partners post-match. Now, with Braxton Sutter doing the jealous boyfriend angle, it seems like that's something he'd have a problem with. I mean, he got bent out of shape when Garza Jr. just tried to talk to Allie, and now here she is hugging other dudes. But for some reason, Sutter is nowhere to be seen. Okay. So I guess continuity with the knockouts only matters when it's Gail Kim. Speaking of which, Allie's team got the win over Sienna's team here. They didn't have a lot of interaction, but every little bit helps. We also have seen the team of Sienna and Taryn Terrell, with or without Taya Valkyrie, getting the pin on Allie in various knockout tag matches. So while the writers aren't exactly doing a stellar job of it, they are building some type of heat between 3 of the 4 women in the Knockouts title match at Bound for Glory. The one excluded from this is Gail Kim, because Gail is not a heat builder. She's a heat destroyer. Reference the earlier segment with her and Taryn. Because none of these girls can get over on Gail, because none of them can get under her skin, because she's no-selling everything they try to do to her, be it trying to pin her in a match or just trying to upset her and make her lose her cool. There's no sense of tension or anticipation when she's involved. Nobody is able to put a chink in her armor, in any way, shape, or form. Now, that might work if Gail was the monster heel that the others were struggling to overcome, but she's the one that we're supposed to be rooting for most of all. So instead of Sienna or Taryn or even Allie being the obstacle to Gail retiring with the Knockouts Championship, Gail just looks like the obstacle for everyone else, and it feels like a foregone conclusion that she's going to win. Now, I think most people were already kind of assuming that she was going to win at Bound for Glory, but that doesn't mean you can't at least make it an interesting story getting there. I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't put a little bit of doubt in the fans' minds that Gail has this thing on lock. You'll make them question the outcome for just a minute. These writers are just taking the most boring path imaginable here. Gail is Superwoman. There's no kryptonite around anywhere, so the other 3 knockouts don't stand a chance. Buy our pay-per-view to see if Gail wins the match! Now, is it possible that this is setting up a swerve at Bound for Glory where Gail does the job in a shocking upset or something? Sure, it's possible. It's just not probable. Now, can you guess what happened next? Yeah, it was another video package. So we're back in Noah, and we see the video of Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards and Garza Jr. Wrestling for Noah. And this one actually had a lot of footage that was just reused from the previous ones we saw earlier. So I'm not sure why they split this up into so many different videos. It really could have just been one. I will say that all 3 guys really come off well in this video. They look like stars, similar to how the Impact talent looked in that video package of them at AAA. Now, why can they do this when the stars are in Japan or Mexico, but not in the Impact Zone? I don't know. Something's not carrying over there, and I'm not sure what. And it's at this point that I just go into video package overload. There's been a whole lot of them on this show. I don't want to see any more, but I know there's more to come. And I'm done with it. I don't want to see it anymore. But we cut to the LAX clubhouse, where they gloat about taking out OVE, and Konnan says that Homicide will be back for Bound for Glory. So, I don't know, maybe he's managing the titty bar off in Tijuana right now. But he'll be back at Bound for Glory, so that's one more person for OVE to have to fight against. So maybe they're setting up OVE needing to bring in some people to even the odds. Maybe Sami Callihan, maybe Tessa Blanchard, I don't know. But that seems to be where they're going. And it probably couldn't hurt to get more people on OVE's side, maybe help them get over a little bit. And then we have another video package. Moose goes back to the American Top Team gym. So all those other videos were just building up to Moose arriving at the American Top Team gym. But this time he has help. And it's Stephan Bonner, surprisingly. So, cool. Finally an MMA guy I actually recognize. So they get those nightsticks or batons or baseball bats, whatever they were, and they walk into the gym. So that's it. To be continued in the next video package. So finally, we get our main event. It's Johnny Impact versus Garza Jr. for the title shot for the world title at Bound for Glory. And sadly, this really doesn't feel like a match that should be setting up the Bound for Glory main event. Look, I like Garza Jr. a lot, but the push of him just came out of nowhere. He was supposedly feuding with Braxton Sutter 5 minutes ago, and now he's doing this. It really gives the impression that they were hot-shotting this whole thing. It just doesn't feel organic. And I could understand them using this to set up a title shot. It would feel appropriate to set up a title shot, but not at Bound for Glory. Not at what's supposed to be the biggest show of the year. And Garza just hasn't been built up to that level yet. So it doesn't feel like they earned this at all. It is a great match, though. Really great match. Johnny Impact wins, of course. But this was a situation where Garza gained something in defeat. He feels like a bigger star despite losing the match. So well done on that front, at least. And then Johnny talks to Jim Cornette. He's announced as a #1 contender, but Johnny says that Eli Drake is hiding in the back somewhere. But once again, we know this is not true. Eli Drake is in Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah, representing the company overseas, and we know this because not only did we just see several video packages of him in Noah, we saw a live feed of him watching the match from Japan. But here's Johnny Impact saying that he knows Eli Drake is backstage when he's clearly not. Why are they doing this with him? It's the second time they've made Johnny Impact look like a complete fool by insisting that Eli Drake is backstage when we know he's in another fucking country. Why do they keep doing this with him? Are they intentionally trying to make him look like an idiot? Because that's what's happening. So anyway, Chris Adonis gets a jump on Johnny, hits him with a board or something, and then the crowd chants, "Fire him." Ouch. Not the reaction he was going for. And yeah, Impact officials, you might want to, you should probably stop trying to make Chris Adonis happen. It's not happening. It's really not. But we couldn't have that be the final segment of the night, because we had to save that honor for another video package. So, Moose and Stephen Bonner walk into the American Top Team gym. They say hi to the reception girl at the desk, and then they proceed to smash the shit out of the gym. You know, they destroy display cases, they take a lot of championship belts, they destroy the merchandise area, and, you know, they just, basically they commit vandalism and destruction of property that by all rights should get them arrested. But hey, if American Top Team didn't get arrested for assaulting Impact employees, multiple times, mind you, why should we bother applying logic now? I actually kind of like this one. But that's mostly because American Top Team weren't there when Moose and Stephen Bonner showed up. The gym was deserted, which meant that I didn't have to see Dan Lambert again. So they just smashed the place up and left. And so we weren't subjected to Dan Lambert taking over everything again. Because every time he's there, it's all about Dan Lambert. So with the fact that he wasn't there, yeah, good one. Thank you. I appreciated that. And that's what we end on. You know, Bound for Glory is in a couple weeks. So this is where we should be gearing up for that final big push for the pay-per-view. And they sort of are. You know, the card is more or less taken shape by now. Would have been nice if they'd done that sooner, but they're doing it. But right now, at this moment in time, video package is the most heavily pushed anything on this show. And yeah, Kevin Sullivan can produce a great-looking video package, but I don't understand why they would choose to go in this direction. They tried a show that had a huge, giant block of video packages a few weeks back, and the viewership suffered noticeably. So, why would you want to do that again? You know, I know when you've taped TV so far in advance, there's only so much course correcting you can do, but you could edit the show differently at least. And you could try to spread these things out a little more, preferably over multiple weeks. And you had several videos here that could easily have been combined into one, so they didn't take up so much time. So why wouldn't you just do that, which would give you more time for stuff in the impact zone with the talent appearing in person? I mean, when you have so many videos in one night, it just becomes a chore to sit through. I mean, I know viewership did actually go up for this week, so they lucked out there. But I got very impatient with the number of videos on this show. Very impatient. And they're well produced, but it was just too damn much, and ended up making Impact feel like a big commercial for itself. It's okay to fill this time with some normal pre-tapes or another promo segment or a match or something. I don't know why they're so video happy all of a sudden, but it just feels like overkill to me. And, that is going to do it. I can't really talk to the chat room tonight. Like I said, my body clock is all kinds of screwed up. I want to try to get some sleep, because again, I got to be up early tomorrow. Thankfully, not for work-related reasons. But still have to try to be up early. So, yeah, that's going to do it. Also, I was finally back on the HeelCast for the last 2 episodes that we did. It was me and TNA Dude, and I feel like those episodes came off really well, so if you haven't been listening to the HeelCast, I think now's a good time to tune in. Just do a search for the HeelCast on YouTube, it comes right up. 2 really good episodes, in my humble opinion, so check those out. Because I think HeelCast is a good show. I think it deserves more viewership than it gets. So check that out, if you don't mind. And that is going to be it. Thanks, everybody, for joining me on this late Sunday night. I'm sorry I couldn't do this earlier, but again, work happens. I just didn't have the time to do it until today. I guess I could have done it earlier in the day, but I was pretty wiped out after working for 2 days and having 2 long commutes and not getting home until late each time. It's just my body doesn't know what time it is anymore. So I will work on that, and hopefully next week we can do this at a more convenient time for all of us. Thanks for tuning in. Over. Out.